What did the weird kid do to earn that reputation? The weird kid at my school always claimed she was a wizard, and when someone spoke to her when she was casting a spell, screaming at the ground, she would turn around and either scream in their face or bitch slap them. I was new to the school at the time and I got screamed at cause I was legitimately worried that she might be hurt or something. He thought he was a robot. Often you'd find him in the halls alone talking to electronics about destroying the human race or having a conversation with a locker. He brought a live lobster to a middle school dance and let it go on the dance floor during the dance. Wasn't even a question of who would have done this. It was Nate. Nate did it. Do a countdown to his farts like they were a fucking moon launch. Set his arm on fire on a school trip to France. Sprayed his arm with deodorant for about a whole minute before getting someone to light it. It wouldn't go out until he used the tap in the bathroom to douse it with water. He ended up with blisters and permanent scarring. So the school trip ends and we go back to school the week after. All of a sudden me and 4 other kids get pulled into a classroom, to be questioned by police and the head teacher. He basically told his mom that we did it to him. Obviously this did not stick, as we all had the same story. If I had Facebook I would look him up, see how life is for him nowadays. Edit, forgot to say deodorant is what he used. He had a notoriety for shitting his pants at least once a day and was super casual about it. I remember I was behind him in the hall one day when I saw a massive turd plop out of his short legs. He looked back at it and just kept on strutting. Got caught whacking it in the school bathroom. Then later got his dick stuck in a shampoo bottle. Guys, if you get your dick stuck in a shampoo bottle, and your mom has to take you to the hospital to remedy the situation, you need to keep that to yourselves. There is no teenager in the world who's going to keep that knowledge to themselves. In kindergarten we had this girl who used to show us that she could put sticks inside her peeing place. As kids, we were fascinated, grossed out and amazed at the same time. Yet, we never really thought more of it. It was her thing. She liked to show us that she could put objects inside that spot. Only years on years later, in context, we were around 4 when this happened. I'm 36 today and I think I only realized 1 to 2 years ago that this girl was most likely subject to sexual abusive. I knew she came from a somewhat troubled home, but as a 4-year-old and the years after, I didn't possess the skill set or know how to identify this. As a teenager and the years onwards, I forgot about her. Only to think of her a few years back as someone said something which triggered the scenario. Wherever you are, girl, now woman, I hope you're good and living your best life. Finger themselves during class, then brought a cake the next day to apologize. Dude would wear a stormtrooper costume and taped an old flip-up phone to his arm and pretend to talk through it. This was in HS. He was particularly odd because he was like a born genius, so he'd often get bored in class and get up to some weird shit. Collected earthworms when it rained, in the pouch of his hoodie, and then laid them out in the schoolyard, spelling his own name. He cried when he saw that it had been scraped from the pavement the next day. By that time he was around 13. Predictably, we started calling him Worm Kid. He got expelled around a year later, for throwing a fistful of earth at a teacher. Edit, to elaborate on him having to leave the school. This act of dirt tossing happened inside of a classroom, at close proximity, when he'd been called to the blackboard during a Latin lesson. I'm from Europe. The teacher completely lost her shit. The moist soil was all in her hair, and she later said a couple of live beetles and little pebbles or bone splinters were also found in that mix, though I can't say whether that's true. Cut himself in class, waited for the blood to congeal a bit, then ate it. Just writing that made me gag. Years later he got arrested for stabbing someone. He would jerk off everywhere and be caught like all the time. In class, on the football field, in the tuba room, you name it. He also claimed with all seriousness to everybody that he was dating the most popular girl at our school. She was in a long-term relationship with another one of the popular kids, so everyone knew he was full of shit, but he stuck to his guns. He was quiet at first, so me and my friends became friends with him. Months later he confesses his love to one of them and gets rejected, and starts stalking us by finding out where we live, and more to the point where we had to get restraining orders on him that he kept breaking. There was a girl in my school that got caught trying to color her entire tongue with a black Sharpie in like 7th grade. It was honestly surreal to witness. The teacher was so confused and just walked her to the principal. A few years later she was expelled for drinking during school on multiple occasions. Ate a live lizard while the entire school was hanging out on the football field during a fire drill. He would put on sunglasses and stare at girls' chests. It was obvious. Raised his hand, and when the teacher called on him to answer his question, he started singing Frère Jacques. Pulled out his pubes or armpit hair one by one and ate them. Well, fucked a goat, lad. When we were about 15, Harrison, we were all addressed by our surnames, decided one day to wrap his penis in adhesive tape during a biology lesson. I can't remember why, nor how he managed to remove it, but I was impressed. He also held the record for stabbing into the desk between each finger of his outstretched hand with a compass, a very sharp point, as fast as possible, despite hitting a finger at least once. He later became a distinguished surgeon. Took a bite of a urinal cake because he was curious. There is this kid who only listens to Megalovania. Worst part is that he blasts it full volume and doesn't bother wearing headphones. So imagine you're in my shoes, taking a piss in the bathroom, and 50% of the time you slowly hear Megalovania getting louder and louder until it echoes into the room, and there is that kid just standing there with his phone out staring at everyone while you fear for your safety. He would bark like a dog when talked to. He probably had some mental problems, but most people just avoided him. He was very into the fantasy of war games. He would get super excited when anyone would play along with him. We had over 5,000 students in the school, and many people knew about him and would pretend to shoot at him for a laugh due to his antics. It all had to stop when someone pretended to shoot him with a bazooka and he jumped backwards down a flight of stairs from the explosion. Someone who is still unknown ran through the school with nothing on but a Spider-Man mask. He ran down the longest hallway we had, a quarter-mile long, willy flopping in the wind, and no teacher or monitor could stop his majestic run. A girl in my year at school told us that she has a ghost in her bedroom, and it told her that if she didn't brush her teeth it would burn her house down. Another girl said she wanted to have sex with our headmaster, but she was like 7 at the time. And she used to scratch people in the face like a cat. I held the door open for her once and she flipped me off and called me a fucking bitch. Thank you for watching the video. Welcome to Reddit Wisdom. Here you will learn the wisdom of the crowd, the wisdom of Reddit. Please consider subscribing for more Reddit wisdom.